Yeah. Oh, we can always, there we go.
You know, which transfer it from the computer.
Yeah.
So thank you. It's 6:31 and I'd like to call this meeting of the Charter Review Commission to order. Mike is not present. Brad, could you take the roll for me, please?
Sure. Bob Brennan here. Jim Humphrey here. Ted Tracy,
Here.
Ben Parra,
Here.
Scott Copley,
Here.
Scott Guthrie.
Here.
Brad Mayer, present. Sarah Repose, absent. Michael Stevens, absent. Ray Angel.
We actually have nobody dialed in, or are we missing
So
something?
we have a quorum.
Yeah, because we usually see
We don't always see anybody that might be logged in from the outside.
Well, they also
There's one
changed,
that's-
they also changed the link at the last minute because it was
Yeah.
the wrong link that was published. So,
I did speak with Ben about that, but he said if you went into either of the two, you would
yeah,
come to it. So.
Yeah, there's only one participant.
you could click on the little thumbnail up there.
Oh, in the
view, top right.
Oh, let me just try to. See if I can join it.
Gallery, it's on gallery, so if anyone else joins, it'll. show
Okay,
that picture.
sure. Just see.
You can admit, there's Ted.
That's me.
Okay,
Okay,
so it worked. Good, good test, good
there we
idea.
go. And I just,
Right, so. We have a quorum, we have 7 members. The emergency evacuation procedure is should an alarm ring, we go directly out this door. And it leads directly outside. Has everyone had a chance to see the minutes of May 25th? June 8th and June 22nd?
I saw the 25th and the 8th. I don't think I saw the 22nd. Did anybody?
I thought it had come out last week.
I think that they were last week.
Yeah, we were missing.
But there's somebody that didn't see last, no, not last week, the week before, so. Are there any?
June 20, we didn't meet June. Yeah, we did meet June 22nd.
Yeah, we had the meeting, we had the one for the 22nd. We already had those.
We already passed them, I believe, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So are there any corrections or additions for May 25th and June 8th? If you received them?
I did not see the 8th, 25th is fine.
8th came out today.
And they left the 8th off, it just says June 2022.
Right. So you may have gotten an email that didn't say the 8th. It probably said June 2022, if you got that today.
The town manager said.
The town manager put
5
those out.
o'clock.
The town manager put those out, so,
I didn't look after 5 o'clock.
okay. Do you want to table that?
No.
Okay.
Unless I can.
I'll
quick.
entertain a motion to pass the minutes from May 25th and June 8th.
So moved.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, Article 2 elections. This is old business and the proposals that were put in. This is Ted's. We'd like to vote on this. You did change one thing, right?
From when?
I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I think it was just one little section in there. All your language is in.
Went from 30 to 45 days.
Oh, I thought you said it was Article 2. I'm on 3.
Excuse me,
Sorry.
Article 2, yeah,
Which one
Yeah.
are you doing?
Article 2.
Okay. Is that partisan elections?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. That hasn't changed.
that hasn't changed. How does everybody feel about that? Is there any discussion on it, or should I call for a motion to pass?
I would just say, this is going nowhere. The town council was, I think, unanimous that they did not agree with this proposal. I know I wrote the proposal that basically is not really writing, it's more striking, and I've kind of changed my mind. I don't believe this is a problem that we really need to go down the road of. I can see that we've gone through undervotes and whatnot. But I think being nonpartisan right now is a good thing. Because right now, when you put letters next to people's names, it comes with baggage that may not be associated with a town office. So I know it's a big deal that we see people who are leaving it blank, but at the same time, maybe that's a good thing that we have people who are saying, I don't know who A or B is, and I'm not just going to take a guess, and I'm not just going to vote for an ideology. If you don't know who your candidates are, then you choosing to abstain, I think it may actually mean that the people who are more informed are making the informed decisions.
All right, so,
No, I agree. I just think nonpartisan is just the way to go. I think keeps the politics out of politics. I think if people don't want to vote, there's always going to be the undervote in every single category, you know, because when I ran as an independent, people were like, well, what are you? I'm like, I'm an Indian. They're like, oh, okay. And they kind of would question me a little bit more about different kind of things, you know, and then when I ran as a Republican, it was just, oh, you're a Republican. Oh, all right, good. Or, oh, I don't know, man. I don't really vote for Republicans. It was just like the slam of the door, a quick conversation. I found when they had, when I was an independent, they really had to kind of like sit there and think like, oh, I really have to, now I have to ask you questions about what you stand for, what you're running for. Like it made them to kind of do some homework, you know, where I think if you just had the R or D or whatever, people just, like you said, they just, all right, well, I think I know what you're about. Yeah, no problem. I don't know. I mean, I think there's always going to be the undervote in every election for every category there is, you know, and if people want to abstain from like that, then that's their loss for doing it, you know, I mean, I think if you don't do your homework on the candidates that are on the ballot, then shame on you as a voter, but sad to say, that's probably a lot of people out there that do that, you know, and I think the town council was kind of like, you know, you can throw it at us, but it's dead on arrival. That's what I got.
do you
know?
think this is not a worthy question to go to the voters? Do you think that it's not a good idea to ask the voters if they would like to do this?
I don't think it's right to go to the voters because I don't. Number one, we've only been doing it this way for 5 elections so far. Okay. And I haven't seen a problem with it. I haven't heard outrage with it. So I feel if we're sending something to the voters, we're either saying there's a problem that we have proposed an alternative that will fix it, or there's something we feel can be done better. And I don't feel either of those applies with this question.
So. The question would be, if we close discussion on this, would be, do we want to send the nonpartisan question to the voters?
Well, our recommendation to the council to send it to the voters. Yes.
Right, because it's not gonna
because
get
it's
to the
not.
voters. So,
Do you feel it'd be better to let them to make that decision, or do you want to just kill it right here? Because I think that there are voters out there that would like to see it. It's only my position is to make sure that if somebody cares about something and they approach us on something, let's let that question be asked. So
I'm okay with this group taking a vote, but I feel this vote is a representative of the people, as you know, a microcosm of it. And I'm okay with whatever decision we collectively decide to move it forward, but
okay,
you know,
the other question is, do you feel swayed by, you know, the council meeting that we went to, which
yes,
was.
I do.
Which
I-
is the first time that was ever called. So this has never happened before, where a charter commission went before the council, where they turned around and they changed the commission member's mind. This has never happened before. So if they influenced your decision there, not inconsistent with the time that the council president came here uninvited to influence us. Here we are. We are asking a vote or a question for the people, not for the council. It's for the people. If you feel uncomfortable about sending that question, vote no. I will call for a vote to pass Article 2 as written by you. So. Is there a motion to pass that?
Before we do that, I have kind of a same.
We
same
need,
answer.
we need to, I think we
Yeah.
need to
All
get a
right. I know,
motion
but it
made and
says-
then have
it says-
discussion. Motion made and second and then
Okay.
discussion, just to make sure
okay.
that we're doing it the right
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, sure.
Is there a motion to pass Ted's language? On Article 2 as written? If there is no motion, it fails. End of discussion. Article 3 and Article 4,
I think you need, I would say that you need to just take a vote on whether or not it's gonna proceed to the town council. Since they've already,
well,
Okay.
there was no motion made and no second, so it goes nowhere. I believe that that's the proper way, I'm not 100% sure.
yeah, I just know that they were looking for
A vote,
a tally.
okay,
We can take a vote, but I would say okay. I'll do it the other way. I would like to make a motion to remove from our recommendations the changes to Article 2, nonpartisan elections,
So then we're gonna do, is there a second?
I'll
to take
second.
it out.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Roll call vote.
Discussion?
Can we have discussion on this?
Oh, yes, discussion.
Okay. My point of view is I think that information is important, whether it's DR or an I. Okay. If you know nothing else about the person, you have an idea as to what their basic political philosophy is. And I've looked for information on candidates. It's not easy to find. Okay, so with that in mind, I think that that's important. Okay. On the other hand, it's going nowhere. I think we all saw that. I think the cooperation in the town council has nothing to do with whether or not they were all ran as independents. It has to do with the particular makeup of this town council. So I think the argument presented is kind of spurious, so it is not influencing my decision. However, to put something out there that is not going to go any further, I just think why bother? There are more important things that we need to get past. And I think we should concentrate on those. That's just my opinion.
Do you feel if we put this forward to them? And do you feel that, hey, we've asked them not to put this forward to us because we said we're gonna kill it, that they might just in spite kill other things that come before them?
Not necessarily in spite, but it certainly
Well-
does not create an atmosphere of wanting to move forward on things. I think it sets us up for potential failure on things that we want to get past.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see that point. I see your point. I see your point. I'm just saying, I feel like this, like they haven't swayed my vote at all. Like I'm the Titanic hitting the iceberg, you know, they're not gonna shake me at all. I just feel like I guess like your point, if we put everything forward, we vote on it. If it passes, it passes the charter review committee, it goes before them. If they want to kill stuff, they kill it. I mean, I guess, hey, these are the recommendations that passed to you by a vote of, we can tally the votes, say, hey, this passed by a vote of whatever for this. We're putting it before you. That's how it was voted, you know, if they want to see who voted yes or no on things, they can watch the video. I guess if they want to shoot things down at their town council meeting in front of the town, whoever watches it, I think that's on them. You know, these were proposed to you. These were like, maybe, I don't know how many other people emailed about things, but like, I feel like we did our work. We voted on it, whether it passes or it doesn't, it goes before them. And I feel as a town council, they need to vote on things in the public forum. And if they kill stuff, they kill stuff. I mean, and then I guess it's on them. And, you know, people can call them up and say, hey, I watched the video, this passed the charter review committee, but you killed it. Why? What's the story here, you know? And they're gonna have to answer for that at some point, if people care about it, you know. I don't know how other people feel, but I just feel like if that's how it's supposed to go, we recommendations, they kill it. I don't, like last time, does anybody know what the outcry or how people felt when the town council passed nothing last time at the last charter review? Was there a big uproar on things? Was there a ton of emails that went out? I mean, I don't.
Probably just like the budget referendum vote, nobody knew.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I also agree that
Nobody had any idea, probably at all, except us, because we talked about it here.
Well, I think our
A few
mission,
people in town who are engaged.
I think our mission was to look at things that we can change and send questions to the voters. These are questions that are gonna go to the voters. And whether they get there or not is the council's decision.
Mhm.
So I think we had a lot of discussion and a lot of support for, going back to that process that used to be. I have no problem just saying, we talked about this. It's public. And I have no problem with them saying no. I just don't think that we should say no with something that we worked hard on. As Bob said, he wants to know who a candidate is. I want to know who a candidate is. And this is for a document that's going to be lasting. This is not for something for the next election. This is something that's supposed to be lasting, neutral. And we all talked about having a charter that doesn't get picked at. And in 2010, it got picked at on a whole bunch of different things. And if you look at how everybody right now feels in town about their government, about how, we govern ourselves, how we pay our bills and so forth, they're not happy. And when people aren't happy, you give them options. So that's just my thought behind it. I know, Ted, you did a lot of work on it, and,
I did, I've been back and forth from the beginning. When it first came out, I wasn't for it. I kind of got on board with it, but as I've gotten more towards the end here, and I don't have a problem doing work, because as a group, this is where we were going. I have no problem doing my part to help everyone out. But as we've come to the end, I've just finally just said to myself, I think in my own opinion, I think keeping the politics, trying to keep it nonpartisan, I think is the better option. Now, would I, do I like the ideas of knowing who people are? I mean, there's other ideas that could have been considered that, maybe we allow you to put a letter if you want to, you don't have to. I mean, these are other things that we kicked around a little bit. But I just fear that, like I said, letters have baggage. And right now I'm worried that if you put letters next to names, people are going to be asking candidates questions that have nothing to do with how you want to manage the town budget. And as Scott said, if you say I'm this, people just close the door in your face. Just because they hear that word, whichever one it may be.
I've been back and forth on this from the beginning too. It came up. I did the math on the undervotes. It was significant. Some elections would have been possibly flipped if people knew something more about the candidates. So I've been back and forth on this because right now, and that's the thing, a lot of the feedback from town council is based on right now. We have to keep thinking about what about the future. My direct experience in another town, which had nonpartisan town council elections, heavily funded by the two parties, heavily divisive. People ran as independents, but they flipped their party affiliation for the elections. But they one party put lots of money into those elections, and it was a shadow of the nonpartisanship. It really wasn't, which could happen in the future. It's nonpartisan. The reality is it may really not be, which is my concern. But remember, we teed this up with the whole idea being undervotes and the consistent lack of communication and knowledge about everything in town that we've talked about throughout the whole thing. So I think we were just trying to find a way to have more info about candidates, because I don't know what the percentage of people going into the voting booth after work have studied the candidates is probably pretty small. It's probably minuscule, in fact, but people want to vote, which is a good thing. I'm going to vote right after work, and then I'm going to go have dinner or whatever. And who are these people, right? And there's a lot of undervotes. So these are again, let's look to the future. Right now, I see the town council working together, kumbaya. I sense it was pretty good, which is a good thing, but that's right now. And they would say that they were thinking current situation. You got to look out into the future. What could happen? In a lot of towns, as I discovered, our partisan elections probably half of the state, roughly, something like that. But again, I would say right now, to Ted's point, I would lean not to do this because I'm not seeing the problem. The only problem is the undervotes. That was the goal. And would that reduce that? It would. How much? I don't know. But it does create divisiveness, I think, and that's been and that was one of my cons that, I wrote some of that stuff up too. So I'd probably lean right now, I'd probably lean against it.
So why don't we just put it to a vote? If it passes, put it before the council. That's how it's, right? I mean, that's how it's supposed to go. So I mean, they want to kill, let them
The
kill it.
motion is
The
to,
motion right now is to not put it to the council, so that one has to get voted on first,
Okay,
that.
I also agree with Bob. I think that the letter is important. I think also that the town council right now is dead set against it, but I think it should be up to them to take it off. They're the ones that's against it. So if they want to take it off, let them take it off. We voted, we worked on this, Ted worked on this. I think we deserve to send it to them and let them decide whether they like it or they don't. We already know they don't, but
What was our polling on this too? Anybody recall?
of the 398.
I
think it was pretty much in favor.
Yeah,
I want to say it was like 7. yeah.
About 70%. So,
Oh.
here's the conundrum when you're doing this, and that's why you say votes, for the last part of doing things, because you get a lot of time to get information from everybody else. But like I said earlier, this is the first time ever that a charter commission was pulled in front of a council to be influenced. So, how they feel is how they feel.
76.8%
Right, so
wanted party.
there is individual as a voter, it's individual. So if they are uncomfortable with it, it's their decision, because all we're doing is sending a question to the voters. We're not setting policy. We're not trying to, change things from this to that. I think I said at the meeting with the council that the experiment of nonpartisan voting didn't go so well because less people voted for local candidates. And I don't think anybody's been happy in this town, maybe for the last 8 to 10 years. So, how do we fix things? I think I called it the experiment, and the council president said, I don't know about experiment, but we live in a lively experiment. This is, we govern ourselves. So, my thought is what's the harm in asking the people a question? There was no harm in asking a question to change it in 2010. So what's the harm in changing it in 2022? So I do get your point. But I think that with the council getting involved on more than one occasion, not so much the full council, but I think that it's an attempt to change people's minds. I don't think it's right for that to happen. I wasn't really happy when it did. You all know that. I had meetings, all right, executive session, so you all know how I felt. You all agreed that it was uncalled for. So sending a question to the voters is basically what we're doing, and give them the chance to make a decision. It's no different than them, voting for a certain candidate. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
And if I can make last comment, I mean, neighbors I've talked to like the idea of this. That's why I asked about the poll. The Google survey, which you have to have a unique email address. So somebody could have 2 email addresses, 3 email addresses. Let's just say there's still at least 150 unique people who voted on that. Reasonable. We probably could find that out because there's a lot of questions on the surveys. 150, 200 people is a lot better than 5 to 11 making a decision on that. So I like that. And I like the idea that maybe it becomes a non-binding. We're going to talk about that, right? That we could at least get a pulse on that. So
It wouldn't stop the council from making it non-binding. I don't think that this
Right.
was, I don't think that this was one of the ones that was important about non-binding.
I'm just bringing up the idea of that. They're allowed a significant survey of the people to get their opinion on that.
On your motion, do you want to continue with it?
Do we want to just, I'm okay, look, I want to only vote once. Let's just do that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm okay, I will withdraw
I
the
know.
motion if someone wants to make a motion to approve this.
Right, so. Does the commission want to send this question to the town council? However they deal with it, they deal with it, and. You know, it's their option. We did some work. We thought that it was a good thing to send. From input from polls and, you know, phone calls, emails, friends, any, you know, like any conversation they had with someone. So. I'd entertain a motion to pass this as written by Ted, because it, and you have the language, right?
So.
Do we have to vote on his motion
I would
first,
draw
though?
Withdraw.
The motion is
withdrew.
withdrawn.
So that's okay.
Okay.
So just so it's clear, we're voting to send
Flip-flop here.
what
He-
is
he
in
is-
the
he is-
original report that already went to the council. To send that with the full recommendation of the commission. Depending
That's
on
the
how
motion
long-
he is calling for.
And, okay, is there a second? Because I have more discussion.
Did we have a motion? Who was the first?
Is there a motion to send the question to the council?
I'll make the motion.
I'll
Is
second
there a
it.
second? Okay, so discussion. So what I will do. In the presentation is I will explain all of this to them. You know, I just don't want to throw things at them. I got the feeling that when we were called in front of them that. You know, I was told I came in hot, but I didn't expect to be attacked. By, you know, the council that. Had a meeting arranged by the town solicitor that has never happened before. So I kind of got defensive to begin with. And it made it hard for you when you got up and spoke, because you probably felt as peppered as I did. And you're almost being told not to do, you know, and not to promote the work that you did. So it was arranged. And that's my point is this commission decided that, let's let the voters have a discussion about this or vote on this. They have the opportunity to allow the voters to vote on it or say, no, they can't vote on it.
Mhm.
Okay with that?
You know, I would also say, you know, town council prefers anonymity to create cohesion on the council. These are notes I took. You know, there's Ds, Rs, and Is around our table. We get along. People have to get along with your D, R, and I.
Mm.
You know, you shouldn't stop that from getting along on municipal issues that we all have in common. So, you know, the word anonymity came up. Don't be anonymous. It's okay. You can belong to a party.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be a horrible thing. It gets revved up in the news. Anyway, now let's comment.
Anything further? I'll entertain a motion that we send this to the council.
We already
They
did
just
that.
Yep.
Second.
We're in discussion, so we just need to call a vote.
Okay. Do we have to do roll call on this or not?
I think that's what the council was looking at.
Okay, let's do roll call on this.
Bob Brennan,
I,
Scott Copley,
This is to send it.
Yes,
I'm gonna vote against it, so nay.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes,
Jim Humphrey,
Yes,
Brad Mayer, yes. Ben Para,
yes,
Ted Tracy.
Nay.
Motion passes 5 yeas, 2 nays.
I was hopeful that everybody would be here. I thought that we had a commitment last time. And I had promised everyone that we wouldn't make a vote without everybody being here, but it seemed to be almost an impossible thing. So,
Yeah, we appreciate you trying to hold off as long as
Yeah.
possible.
We
for
gotta do,
those
we gotta
things.
do though, you know.
right,
It just, like I said, 9 people, 9 very
Right,
unique
right.
lives.
you know, because
And
I,
it's going a little bit longer than we
Is that-
probably
yeah.
had planned to.
well, in our discussions, I know that there are folks that feel differently about things and I will certainly mention that as we go along tonight.
Okay.
All right, so that question goes to the council, and like I said, when I present, I will explain, you know, their options that this is simply a question that's gonna go to the voters and, you know, when you self-govern, you know, by the people, you ask the people what they want, and that's basically what we're doing.
So you have to present this again on the 28th to them?
Actually,
Next week.
I think I only have to give them the package, but I would like to just read out,
To go over.
you know, a little bit of a presentation note. And hopefully they'll be receptive. I don't think that there's gonna be, you know, a big issue about it.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're at war with the council. I think that we're trying to work with the council to, you know, engage the voters.
So we've always said that, again, the nine bonding idea, I hope you tee that up, that's important.
Yeah.
That could put things on the ballot and be very, very helpful to the town council.
Right, because I know we'll get
It's a
to
great
it.
opportunity.
The two that we spoke out.
Yeah.
Details, like the biggest, I think, pushback when we get to it was just
Moving on to
unknowns.
article-
I'm sorry, let's do it in order. I'll say that.
Okay.
I'm up next, right?
Article 3.
Okay,
Article
so
3 and
Article
4?
3 and 4.
Okay, so the only update I did for this, first off, from the presentation from last month. I added the requirement for advertising and on Sarah's advice to make sure that advertising gets in is available for at least a week. I changed the period for when a vacancy needed to be filled from 30 days to 45 days. So the rest of it is the same. It's just adding an extra 15 days to allow, and it can still be done sooner.
Mhm.
And the advertisement posting is still 1 week before they can consider anything. That gives it time to be out there for anyone to see, consider, and apply.
And you have that language.
Yes, that's the last one that you sent.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I'll entertain a motion for passage of what Ted put forward on Article 3 and Article 4.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Without discussion, roll call vote.
Bob Brennan,
Aye.
Scott Oakley,
Aye.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes.
Brad Mayor, yes, Ben Barrett,
yes,
Ted Tracy.
Yes.
Motion passes all of them.
So moved, all right, so. Next on the agenda is town council proposals.
Okay, this is the one that was all bunched together, and I tried to break it up into separate questions. Ray, did you get the modification to the number of council members?
I did.
Okay. I can see what your confusion was. So basically, I had the question was, shall the town council be expanded to include 7 members, thus adding 2, and originally it said districts to the town. That's changed to at-large members. The districts is in a different question. So by increasing it to 7, if they're keeping the 5 districts, 2 would be at large. As far as it's, you know, how they want to set that up as at large, that's the council's determination.
So is this one question that will just say, we're going to 7, and then we'll figure out how we do it
If you go
separately?
to 7, 2 of them will be at large.
Yep.
Okay, and how they are at large, whether they make 2 districts in the town or
Or
not.
2, okay.
You want to go through all these? There's 3 of you. You want to do them one at a time, or you want to go through?
Same thing, right?
So I'm just for clarification. I did get the latest one, so you're,
It should say, shall the town council
Yes.
be expanded to include 7 members, thus adding 2 at-large members?
Right. and then is something from the original report going to them as potentially, once motion is made, going to them as well.
Let's see,
Is the option of district going, or possibly going?
well, if you increase to 7 without at-large, then you have to have 2 additional districts.
Right, so it's a redistricting thing, and I think that we should put that question forward too. I think that when we had a meeting with the council, the one that I had put forth about 7 individual districts, they weren't opposed to it, but they did mention that they thought it at large. Question
They
is
seem to be more in
probably
favor of
relevant.
2 at large, townwide,
Right.
versus 7 individual districts. I just want to ask this question to Ray. Can we? Long haul out of this. Can we put one question that says? Town council expand to 7 and then have a separate question that basically says. 5 and 2 at large or 7 districts, that basically if question 1 doesn't pass, question 2 is irrelevant. And then if question 1 passes, then we go to question 2, whichever one gets more votes. Is that even allowable? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think it would be in that format. I think-
Okay.
And, I think what Bob's been trying to do is, based on some of the feedback, break down the different
Ways you
town
can,
council president put in variables.
Yep.
I
Right.
think was the resounding echo in the room. So I guess you would have to your point, you would have to put each way that it could possibly go to the voters, and then whichever
Okay.
one
okay,
carries the.
Okay,
the
I got
vote would Be the case.
Yep.
I don't know, I would just say that may end up causing confusion as well.
well, yeah, that's,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that the council, some of them like the at-large seats, but my point in my head was like, well, yes, none of your seats. So, of course you like that, right? Because, I don't have to walk from Western Coventry to West Warwick, the districts are they're not that big, I know one of them, was saying, well, if we made 7, that would be less people I represent, but I started doing the math of how many voters there are in the town of like, it'd literally be like 1,000 less
Yeah,
people for them. It's not a big change. So, that point was mute to me, but, when they like 2 at large, I'm like, well, okay, but none of your seats, so what do you care, so.
right.
The
Well-
one thing I heard from President Dixon too was, we're all at-large counselors. How many of all crosstown issues have they had to deal with in the last 2 years? A lot of them. How many, there's tiny little issues maybe within your
Mhm.
district. So to me, I mean, that's why I like the 7. You're gonna have that, I know the neighborhoods and I know this and that of this district. At the same time, you have to be dealing with everything in town.
And that was my thing to them, well, then you know what, then be all at large. Have your 7 seats all at large. If you just said to us in a meeting, we're all at large, we all deal with everyone else's issues, we deal with from Weston, we deal with the West Warwick, we deal with the sewers, okay, then, so you made the point. Be all at large then, make it equal, like you're all at large.
But-
And have, and
See,
then,
I'm okay going to 7,
It's an
but I
interesting
would
point.
pick one of the extremes.
And
That's so either 7 indivial districts or you're all at large.
that's how I feel.
That's,
It's 'cause
I'm with that.
I feel if you're
Yeah.
gonna run for town council, the work you put in should be even. Why should I, as a if I want to run for town council, why should I have to be in that large seat, which is more work than working for a Senate seat, when you want to be on the town council and
You got a
you
smaller.
got a small area. I don't think anybody is gonna put their hat in the ring for, let's go to this upcoming election. District 1, which is President Dickerson, right? There's 2 people that are going for, correct?
Mhm.
And then District 3 is,
District 4
District 4 is,
has only
One
Councilor
opposed.
Lima.
Done
the only one
She's only
running.
so right there, nobody wants to run for a little small district
That's a huge point, which we've made consistently throughout these meetings. We're
Correct.
trying to encourage people to
to
run.
run. So,
At large discourages.
so if it's all at large and everybody says, okay, we're all at large, so it's put our name in the hat, we all have to walk wherever. I just feel I think a lot of voters are gonna be like, wait a minute, as me as a voter, I'm like, wait a minute, you have 5, then you have 2 at large, and then, well, how does that work? So if, I'm gonna get all the emails for the whole town and they only get this, or, how does-
Or you could game that if you're all at large. I live in a very populated neighborhood. Everybody knows me. I'll just focus on this.
Because I'm gonna
I'll
my
get
votes
lots
right
of
here.
votes.
Yeah, you just have to.
I don't know
the-
what the heck's happening in Western Coventry near the Connecticut border, but
Yeah, because now,
I'll win because I could just do this.
You're in that same district.
yeah, like me, I'm in District 5, so if
So-
I want to walk, I can walk the areas where it's pretty packed and hit a lot more voters and saying, whatever, Western Coventry.
Just from Coventry, I gotta walk a mile just to go from one house to the next.
So,
Well, in
here,
fairness,
Everybody
we
is
wanted
At large, you're gonna
kind
have
of,
that,
yep.
you know.
Here were my thoughts. we talked a lot about, the voters not being happy. And we tried to figure out ways to give them a little more representation. So my thought was to have 7 individual council seats. We talked about it. And we brought it in front of the council that night. And there were a couple of council people that thought that, having instead of, 7 individual districts, have the 5 + 2 at large, which is what you're proposing. And the thought in the back of my mind was, well, they could easily put up a, competing question. And it says in the charter, whichever gets the most votes wins. So we can pass Bob's. We can pass for the 2 at large.
Mhm.
We can send the 7 individual seats. If the count, because I was thinking originally that, I didn't know that you were gonna talk about, the at large, because I thought that it was kind of like being,
Well,
sort of,
if you increase to 7 without increasing the districts automatically, it's 2 at large.
right.
It's not, I'm not a proponent of
Right.
at large.
No, but
I just want to make that clear.
It's that option that I think that I think 2 council people thought that if we do go to 7, 2 at large would be good. But it's entirely up to the voters. So, what gives Weston Coventry the best representation? In the back of my mind, I was thinking, 7 seats. All right, they get to move their district down a little bit closer here. Little more representation, and then later on, when we talk about another position that I wanted to put on the ballot, mayor, they would end up with 3 representatives. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to make a community that has unhappy people that feel like they're underrepresented, more represented. So that's just the back of my mind. So
I think we're all in agreement with that.
yeah,
Okay, it's how to put it into a question that we can send to the voters.
right.
Okay, so further on down the line in this, you're trying to unbundle this or unvariable this. I have a question. Shall the town of Coventry districts be increased from the current number of 5 to 7, with the number of council members and school committee members also increased to 7, which pretty much,
It's the same as mine. Same thing.
right? So if we do that one, okay, that's pretty much what we've all been talking
Yeah.
about as far as the
Mhm.
7. So do we just scrap that one, which is shall the town council be expanded to 7 members, thus adding 2 at-large seats?
I would say scrap that and when you're prefacing everything,
Say they can
reiterate
pick
to
the
them
other
that
option.
if you want the other way, you can put forward your own question, whichever gets the most votes would win.
Right. So what I wrote in mine was, how to actually do this. Because if we go to 7 seats, and I think Hillary brought it up, that there's gonna be 2 seats remaining for the next 2
You
years.
gotta write the wording, so.
So
that it-
I
Like the next
actually,
election would be
Yeah,
at
it
least
doesn't,
3, and,
the
right,
next election
would
was
be
gonna
3,
be
and then. the
everything
next
but
election-
1 and 4, because 1 and
Yeah.
4 will.
They're in 4-year terms, they are locked in, it's not.
So,
it's gonna
yeah,
take 4
nothing
years.
voted on at this election affects this election.
so. Without seeing what you wrote. And maybe without you seeing what I wrote, we can probably get Ben to, get Ray to. Put both things in there, because I thought that just asking for the 7 seats. 7 districts. And if the council put a competing bill in that said 7 council persons, 2 at large, and 5, and 5. So under mine, it's districts. Under yours, it's 5 plus 2 at large. So
Well,
it makes,
that's if we
That's
keep
one of
this
his,
first one.
he's got both.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think back to your point, the one we talked about pretty consistently was the 7. We had a lot of conversations in multiple meetings. To your point, the town council wants to do something else, because I know Councilor LeBlanc is very adamant about
at
the
large.
2 at large. That is the thing he's focused on. He did not give me a good reason to do it.
Well, we shouldn't have
I-
been,
go ahead.
we shouldn't have allowed that
Yeah.
interference And we wouldn't be
You
having.
could
the
bring it up.
discussion that we're having.
We know where he was at. They brought it through the committee once, our commission a while ago. So, but we'll stick with the 7. They want to add that, they can do that. They can make it an option. if they want to. They can do that.
We could send a simple question and the town solicitor can write the language for it. So if we agree tonight to send both, the 7 district one and the 5 district and 2 at large, you can write that. Am I right or wrong?
His head spinning.
It's,
I can see the look on your face. with that mask.
Well, I have it written in language for the 7 seats. All we would have to do is put the competing language and let the council decide whether they want to send both, one or none.
We have to give Ray something. I mean,
Well, I would just,
I
if you wanted my opinion, if the consensus is. It sounds to me is that it's not necessarily everybody's favorite idea for the at-large. Send the 7 districts and make a note that the council can, if they choose, to, amend it to at-large. That's an option.
Yes,
Or put
Okay.
that,
Or put a competing question.
Or put it competing.
question.
that's also on them, but I think the general consensus in this room is 7 districts, 7 unique districts.
Yeah.
And I think that should be the proposal that comes with our recommendation,
And
that's our motion.
so,
and it's the same for school committee too, right?
correct.
Okay,
Yes, we
I
can-
just making sure.
We can make that motion, and I can put that caveat in there saying that.
Yeah.
It doesn't preclude the council from putting a competing.
Changing or
question
competing.
in Unless
or-
you want what you have.
I was just
Voted
trying
on.
to break it apart so that we could treat them as separate questions.
All right,
I
so,
think there's a lot of good stuff in there, but if you do it as one question, it's gonna be just nothing but confusion, so.
right, so. And we had the same, I think we had the same problem when we were talking about. When we were doing the poll, where if you vote for this, you don't have to vote for that. Remember that, there was a couple of them in there.
And correct me if I'm
Well,
wrong.
it's just the matrix of the whole thing. No questions is 16 different options.
Right.
And 5 questions is 25 different options and so on and so
Yeah,
forth. It
So-
just keeps going up.
The idea is to get something in the voter's mind. To say, oh yeah, I like this idea.
So
Do I like
prove
7?
reject.
Do I like 5 and 2? Let's let the council decide that. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yep.
So the legislation that I wrote addresses the 2 sitting council people that are in districts 1 and 4 that
Says that they're not affected until.
they're not
their
affected
next-
until they'll finish their
It'll be
term.
6, I believe, would be the next.
And it does put it at 2 years, and it does give them a limit at 4 terms.
Do we just get on to another question?
Mhm.
Well,
So were we gonna?
That's all,
are we
I
gonna-
just want to go one issue at a time. that's
Those
all.
3 things we should present as 3 separate questions.
Right,
I don't, because that's one of, I think that was one of their
yeah, like
complaints. That there
the
was
number of
too much
seats should be
in
one question, the term length should be one question, the term limit should be one
Yes.
question. And I think we really.
I
need to
agree
get
with that. I agree with that too.
For you to write. So,
We'll come over and get up.
We
on the
will,
scaffold
we will
with
assist.
you.
We
Give
will
you a hand.
assist.
so how does this sound? I'll entertain a motion that we pass. 7 council seats by district. With the legislation that's written that clarifies the dates, because that was brought up when we spoke with them. And leave the opportunity for the council to put a competing question in for the 5 council seats, 2 at large. Now, the 2 at large, from what I understand, would be 2 totally at large. Okay. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Is there a second
Aye.
discussion? Because we already had pretty much. most of it.
Yeah, we do.
So like I said,
And school committee.
we're trying.
For the 7 seats.
For 7 seats,
The
4.
7 seats for the school committee also.
This is a
Make a motion
motion.
that we make the proposal that there be 7 unique districts for the town council and school committee with the appropriate language to go with it.
I'll second that motion.
You guys can fight over it.
All in favor? You want to roll call?
Yeah,
vote
can
on
we have a
that?
roll call on this,
Let's
please?
Yep. Bob Brennan,
Aye.
Scott Copley,
Aye.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes,
Brad Mayor, yes, Ben Para,
Yes,
Ted Tracy.
Yes,
Motion passes, all in favor.
You know what I missed on? Was Sarah was opposed to the nonpartisan, and I should have left that up then, but I'll say it now, just so that she knows that I didn't forget her. All right,
so we're doing term.
So now we need to
term
talk
length.
about the 2 year, no, we have to talk about length and limit.
so term length, what I had written was 2-year terms. 4-year maximum, or 4-term maximum for 8 years. And then you could have a vacation and come back and run again. That's what's in my language. Bob, you have anything in yours about that?
No, I have nothing on the term
I'll
limits.
entertain a
Did we-
motion.
Did we present the term limits to them?
I think that we did through mine.
It was it in
Yeah,
your
it was a
whole,
different article. Hold on a second, to get the report. I think the motion, the next time I get that with Gus.
Second that.
All in favor?
Ray needs a test. You want to sit up here?
Oh, stop.
You got someone up over there?
Yeah, so the question is, did you talk about term limits?
I think it may have been brought up by a council member. I don't know if we actually talked. If it was Hillary.
Don't believe
Mr.
in,
Ludwig.
Mr. Brennan's original proposal that covered all the different sections between town council and school committee that term limits were discussed.
Not a big, I think right from the get-go, when we started, I said, I'm not a big person on term limits, but. But I guess there are people that sit on the council now that would like to see that.
yeah, I only see it just kind of word searching. I see it for mayor,
for mayor, it was in there,
Correct.
but not for town council.
but
or
not for
school
town
committee.
council.
So
I almost would like to leave this for them.
Yep.
We, again,
They
like
can
we said,
draft
I'm not necessarily in favor of it. There are maybe moments in time where may think of it, but
you get to
in
do that
general,
at the ballot box.
right, exactly. But I would just leave this for them because they have all the ability to add this question
And
As
we,
themselves.
as themselves.
I
and we've
think-
had discussion on term limits.
Yeah.
and I was under the impression that we were not in favor of adding them.
Again, with our theme of we're not getting enough candidates, we're gonna start putting in term limits.
Mhm.
So I
So
guess
that's
we just
not a-
need
so
to
not-
take
not
a
a
vote on
problem.
the
On 2-year.
term, 2-year terms or 4-year terms for town council.
I'll entertain a motion for,
I make a motion that we send the proposal that the term length for a town councillor be 2 years, effective at the next election for each respective district.
with or without a term limit.
I'm not mentioning term limit at all. in
Okay.
my motion.
So the motion is.
2-year
for
terms,
2-year
whatever,
terms for town council. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there discussion?
right,
Are we including, because we did in the original presentation, is this also applicable to school committee?
No,
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 this
Okay,
one's
full-
town council only.
Okay, roll call vote.
Bob Brennan,
I,
Scott Copley,
Aye.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes,
Brad Mayor, yes, Ben Para,
yes,
Ted Tracy.
Yes,
All in favor. Passes.
All right.
Can I just so I'm clear, so the only thing that's changing from the original report is actually just the last thing that was just voted on, right? That is changing to 2 years.
For,
I don't think
the
that's a
T.
change. think it's-
So, that's what I added.
I think it's more of a, we're breaking it up
We're
in
breaking-
separate questions,
Yeah,
instead of
that's all.
bundling three things into one. or
We're
two
just
things
voting
into
on
one.
everything. We didn't
Well,
change anything.
I remember, the council president coming in here and asking us to bundle things. And I kind of like,
Yeah, can I just interject? Can I, again, they can make the final decision, but the questions that have near identical counterparts on the town council and the school committee, I would like us to reiterate, our recommendation is those ones we want bundled. So my filling vacancies, which has the same procedure for town council and school committee, I would, my personal view is that should be one question. So if we're changing it for one, we're changing it for both of them. And if we're changing, if we're going, saying 7 districts, then that's the same thing. We're making 7 town council, 7 school committee. Basically, the term limit, term back, even I get it, term length is only for the town council.
so,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It does say,
good idea.
on page 13 of the original report, it does say for a term of 2 years.
Okay,
So, and it's 5 districts, so that really.
Just-
that
yeah.
is-
you mean school committee?
No,
No.
town council,
Town council, okay.
school committee references.
All right. So now we're on to school committee. I had your name on there, but I think it's mine because I think I added 2 things that weren't in school committee, which was a quorum, believe it or not. There was no language in the charter that specified what a quorum would be on the school committee. How does that sound? So I added it. And I put 4 members of the school committee shall.
so here's the one cautious thing I would say for that. We're putting forward a question that changes the number of members of the school committee.
All right,
So I'm just worried about putting in
We
language that,
right, we can
you know what I
make
mean?
sure
Like if
that,
it's 5, you want it to be
Yeah,
3, I'm
right.
assuming. If it's 7, you want it to be 4. I'm just worried about,
those,
they kind of need to be together. So I'm okay with adding language that it's missing, but just let's make sure we,
So in other words, it's not a fix, it's just we're adding it as part of
Yeah.
adding, making it
Okay.
7.
so
Before we
those,
get too
those,
far,
those carryovers are gonna be written by Ray, about the certain things are gonna touch on certain things, aren't they, Ray? Because you brought that to my attention. So,
okay, before we get too far into school committee, there's an Article 3 question that we missed. And that is, should the requirement that the town council approve collective bargaining agreements be made by the school committee be struck due to a potential conflict with state law?
that was section O, I believe, on,
Section 3, paragraph O, yeah.
so, they questioned it, I supplied the solicitor with the actual statute.
Mhm.
And I said, you might want to consider sharing this with this, the town council. Simply because all it's gonna do is it's gonna make lawyers rich, and we're not in the job of doing that. I think that they said.
Yes, we are.
I think the council president
We want
said
to write
that,
this nice.
it was town council that passed, in charge of the money and passing everything. Nevertheless, there are 2 laws. And the law that we are dealing with says that an elected school committee has the right. A right to govern themselves.
Mhm.
And if it was a appointed school committee, if we had a mayor. Which we might talk about, then it would be legal. So right now. And I think that the solicitor said something to the effect that, well, the General Assembly ratified it.
Right,
Well, they didn't ratify they didn't read the charter to ratify what was in the charter. They ratified a letter that was sent saying that we passed this. So it's just, I've seen it happen in the past because I had been there before, so. I think that we need to vote on that.
I think this should go, yeah.
Is there a motion to strike section O? Well, entertain a motion to strike section O, and that is powers and duties, was it under?
I believe so, yes. And I will make that one.
Is there a second
I'll second it.
discussion? I think we probably had it. All in favor? Oh,
Bob
excuse me.
Aye.
Scott Copley,
Aye.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes,
Brad Mayor, yes. Ben Para,
Yes,
Ted Tracy.
Yes,
Motion passes, all in favor.
Thank you. There was no vote.
Just for clarification, so you want these as a commission. It doesn't change the language of what you've already written, but you want it broken down
it has to be a
in some
question.
sort of a document as a separate question.
It has to be a question.
I got this, and
I think it was put in as a question in 2010, so. All it's gonna do is take that question out. There was like, I think, 7 different questions asked in 2010 that was significant and political.
How this question is asked is pretty important. I'm just thinking of a citizen, a vote elector. Looking at this on the ballot.
it's like, it's easy to say, strike section 3
Right.
point whatever, oh, you know, okay,
Mm.
what the heck is that? Yeah,
It's-
that's like, if it goes, I don't know how they're,
It's basically correct the legal error in section XYZ. Strike the fact that the town council must ratify any school committee, you know. Collective bargaining agreement,
Right.
essentially is what
yeah,
that is.
that's,
Then it's like, oh, okay, oh, it happens to be, oh.
oh,
Okay, it should be,
So-
yeah, it should be yes, of
So
course,
still under that,
but we are changing it, so we have to do it.
I think in the language in there, I added salary increase. Is that something separate, or is that something we keep in the language that I wrote? Under school committee?
I think that was a separate agenda item.
Yeah,
Oh, no, it's under 5, but it's a separate agenda item.
but you're still on Article 4, so the question is, you want to separate out the compensation piece specifically, you could do that.
it's a good unbundle.
Yeah, so. So the. Neither the town council nor the school committee has had a salary increase in 22 years.
Can I just
So,
interrupt for 1 second? I'm
yes.
sorry, I'm just trying to keep track of things. Where does the quorum issue stand? Was that ever?
Yes, we have a quorum, though.
no. The school committee.
School committee.
It'll be written in conjunction with the 7 districts, I thought. Or in conjunction with the 7, it's part of the rewrite. Cause you have 7,
yeah.
4
If,
is quorum,
if you say
goes
the
hand in
school
hand.
district will be, the school committee will have 7 members. A quorum of which, a quorum of 4 will, a quorum will be 4. I'm a lawyer. So,
The question of the
Something
public
like
is
that.
7, and then the language would include the quorum.
right,
So there probably needs to be a motion on adding quorum language to Article 4.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to add quorum language, and are there gonna be 2 questions or 1 on that?
there's gotta be one for town council as well.
No, I think Scott
thought you
had
said-
said there was, quorum wasn't spelled out in the school committee
Right, the
section.
quorum was never in any of the school committee language in charter,
It fixes something.
Yeah, that's fine.
so. I'm pretty sure that it would be nice to have it there so that they can't meet and do something with. You know, not the right amount of people,
Okay, so let's back up
especially
because
especially if they go to 7.
so,
But for argument's sake,
so,
if-
oh, we need to back up now one more. So with the town council question. We also need to add that in that same question, we're changing the quorum that is written here from 3 to 4.
so
Can we,
there are gonna be many things, if for argument's sake, one of these things passes.
Yep.
Then there's gonna have to be a wholesale rewrite by the town solicitor
Yep.
of
All the
the
places
section
that,
to acknowledge the passing of
Yep.
any one of these particular issues.
okay, so
That's-
we don't need to find them all.
No.
Scott,
Yeah,
We won't be.
could we just,
I'd like to withdraw the motion because we can't have a question for every sentence we change, because to me, the important thing is 7
big
and
thing,
7.
Yes,
The quorum naturally will be built into the language that goes with that. We don't need another question for that.
And then,
I
well,
agree to withdraw them.
That's a good bundling of things.
I also wonder whether the school committee is run under state law.
Yeah,
there may be something in the state law that says what their quorum
That's
is.
the
It might
point, that
not,
could very well be.
That's a good point,
yeah.
because
so
it's
There
unusual
was a
not to see
Title
that there.
16, so
It might,
um,
we might not have to do anything on that. That-
it may just say majority,
Yeah.
in state law, because I know that there are school committees that have 5, 7, and 9 on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right, so,
Just to remind everybody that, something, on the event a proposal is included, this is from the original report, on the November 2022 ballot and approved by the voters, a review will be necessary by the town clerk and or town solicitor to reconcile and revise any sections that are impacted by the 2022 vote.
Okay, so
So
we
it's
can
a-
ask
it's a
the,
caveat.
we can ask the big question,
Yeah,
and if it's approved,
they can
they
fix
can
the
then
little.
get all the minutia that it's, okay, we don't need to find, we don't need
it's
to
only
find
gonna
every,
matter if people pass it. Right?
these
So-
things just come with it.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So going back to 3 and 4, we talked about salaries, so I think this is actually. Do we have to go on something? Oh, you're just looking.
No, I'm just looking to see where I have it.
And so in Articles 3 and 4 was salary. I know that the councilors were kind of apprehensive about, like I said earlier, voting on an increase in pay. They're not voting on an increase in pay. What we're doing is we're making it.
Does your language have a fixed dollar amount?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does. Yes, it does. So what I did is I wrote each council person shall receive an annual salary of not more than $8,000. And I struck 4,500, which has been there since 2000 and since 2000. And an additional 2,000 for the president of the town council. And the same thing for the school committee. So if the voters choose to have 7 people, that that dollar amount would stay the same. And it does, in the last sentence, it allows the town council to fix the salary again, whether, inflation or whatever the case may be, but they can't cut anybody's salary or add to a salary
Until
You
an
know,
election?
until, they can cut salary, their own, but they can't.
They
increase-
can't add it.
They can't increase their own, but they can cut the next town council, which I don't think is a good practice. I don't think it's ever been used, so. So this question, why do we do this?
I'm just, it's not changing anything from what they've already been presented, right?
Correct.
So then, my suggestion would be. In a addendum document or whatever, that, that the original. Submission is intact, they have the option of choosing. Which
Amending it.
specific items they want to possibly amend.
Right. And I would, in my introduction, explain to the council and the voters that you're not increasing your salary, you're putting a question to the voters. And, like I said, it's been 22 years away. And I'm sure that they work hard enough to, more than earn that, because, yeah, I've been in office and I know what it
and
is.
in the question, 22 years should be there.
Yeah. Or at
Why
least in
why
the
are we
explanation.
increasing it?
Yeah.
Because it's
Because it
increased in
hasn't been increased in 22 years.
Yeah, that's
So
key.
do we need to vote on this, or do we let it carry with the language that
I mean, you can vote on.
this is unbundling, right?
you can
Yeah, we're
vote
just
on the fact-
unbundling it as a separate question. I would.
So is there a
That's a good idea.
motion to increase the salary of the school committee and the town council to $8,000 and the council president and a school committee chair an additional $2,000 for expenses? I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I think that the concern of the council, and I tend to agree with them, other things that are going on, is the optics of it. To the voter getting put this question, okay, they have just hopefully passed us a town financial budget, okay, that had significant cuts in it. We know there are other issues coming down Central Coventry Fire is gonna have an impact on things. And I don't see how things are gonna move forward without the town asking for more money from the public on that, even if it's just rearranging who's the taxing authority, you know. I don't think the general public is gonna see that. They're gonna see, oh, the town voted themselves a raise and now they're asking us for more money.
But the town isn't
But
voting.
yeah.
on
Town
the
is-
rate.
I know, but.
But what is the voter
What
going
is the
to think?
voter gonna think?
The optics. of
I
the
don't-
vote.
That's.
Right, I don't disagree with the fact that after 22 years, they probably deserve an increase in their stipend. Okay, I don't disagree with that at all, but I don't know that that's necessarily what we wanna put in front for that,
Let's also keep in mind that they're gonna be voting on this the week before they ask us to vote for the budget.
right?
I do
So-
think people have stopped thinking of government as a volunteer organization that, just hopes people do it and show up and the town manager gets paid nothing and, you go to the private sector, people get paid well for doing their work and they get raises and bonuses. And this whole idea that just because government is out there in the public, while everybody's hiding in their executive office buildings, making tons of money, you want to always incent good people to take these jobs. And whatever we can do, at least put it out there,
Do you think
it's a
that,
good idea.
do you think that the wording, to make it a little more palatable? I know that the council is uncomfortable with it because they feel they're doing something for
Right.
themselves and they're not. They're asking the voters if they think that a council person is worth X amount of dollars going forward.
Right.
So for 22 years, they've been getting $4,500. Did you get your 400 or your $4,500 worth? A lot of people will say no,
Yeah, we can't be political. We're the honest brokers.
right?
And I know at one point, we thought that was a good idea. Then we heard from the town council and it got political. So.
It's not-
What
it's not
makes
political.
logical good sense is what we need to at least put out there.
Yeah, I mean,
We're not a political organization.
I think even if we kill it here, if we send it to them, they're gonna kill this one. Because I
Let
just
them kill
feel,
it.
don't let them kill it. I feel that because they.
Let them understand that it's not for them, it's for the
It's for the,
future.
yes,
For the future,
There
yeah,
are gonna be council people here in 50 years.
Just from, keeping things. So we already moved to Article 4. I understand it has implications in Article 3, but, so it could be, under Article 4, so shall the salary increase, and so the town council get the same, increase.
Right.
Yeah, this may be
Something
the
like that.
first chance we have over the next 5 years to do this. And I mean,
And like I said, I
it'll never
I
happen.
understand the apprehension of the council right now. But if they really look at it deep and they maybe watch us talking and then they say, well, yeah, it's gonna be for down the road. I think that yes, it is a question for the voters. It's not a question about what I want
Could,
as I'm sitting here in office right now.
if this is already there, I apologize. Could we maybe put the effective date out a little bit farther? So
That's,
Well,
yeah,
that
what's
would
the
have
date?
to-
What's the date right now?
Yeah.
like right now. I guess it would go to 24. I almost want to say if we went, just go 2 more years, 2026. So that way, everyone who's here right now will have faced the voters at least once after it has passed. So if it goes 22, everyone else, nothing else changes. Some people will be up in 24, some people will be up in 26. So any raise comes in after that.
So what we could do is leave that to them to amend it to do that. It's a political decision for them, right? For me, it's not a political.
But I agree
to-
that
To throw this out. So
I agree.
if they
that
feel
it's-
uncomfortable with it, they can either let it go as it is, or they can say, well, we won't make it take effect until after the 2026 election. Remember,
Okay,
right?
like
this-
I'm okay. I'd be okay also recommend mentioning that to them. We just-
Put that-
we can keep it out of the language, but I would also say if you are, like you said, if you're uncomfortable, put a time, add the timestamp, like I just said,
Yeah,
after the 26th.
that's a
So
good
that way
idea.
you all have basically said, we're all gonna face you again before, after this has passed, but before it comes effective, so.
So when we frame the questions, that little caveat can be put in there, because I'd like to work with them.
Yeah.
To get things done, not
Because I agree that it's been 22 years. Yeah. Inflation's only going up. Fixed dollar non stop.
So is there a motion to increase the salary of the council people and the school committee to $8,000 plus $2,000 a year for the council president and the chair of the school committee?
I think I made the motion.
Yeah,
It was
I
seconded.
Seconded, so
We've
it's-
had our discussion, we could vote.
Roll call vote.
Bob Brennan,
Nay.
Scott Copley,
Nay.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes,
Brad Mayer, yes, Ben Para,
Yes,
Ted Tracy,
yes.
motion passes 5 yeas, 2 nays.
Thank you. All right. Article 5, mayor. Now, we had some discussions about this before, when we thought about making it a non-binding question, because there were a couple of other things that everybody feels it should be non-binding. I just feel that any question that we put forward should go to the voters. If the council would like to, amend it to make it non-binding and use it as a poll, I don't have a problem with that. But I don't think that we should be the people that make it non-binding. I think it's incumbent on them to do it. I know from a lot of people that have been in touch with me that this is what they would like to see as a question. Mind you, that's what it is. It's a question. The people can say yes, the people can say no. Should it pass? And the language that I wrote has a couple of intricacies in it, and I think one of the things that was brought up to me was the salary, and I changed it from ordinance to being fixed by the town council, and it keeps it that same level of government. If you don't ask the question, nothing happens. If you ask the question, the voters may say, yeah, I think I'd like to do that. And I'm hearing more and more that that's what they would like to do. And in a presentation, I would say the same thing, that this is what the people have asked for. You have the right to amend or use it as a tool to, I guess, poll the people. I would send it as a question. If they chose to make it non-binding, I would offer in my presentation that they certainly have the right to do that. So I'd entertain a motion to pass Article 5, the mayor. Do I have a motion?
dense mayors, I don't.
Well, I have no problem with it.
Yeah,
So,
You don't like me?
no. I mean, I saw what happened in West Warwick, and that just was a fiasco.
that's a totally different town too.
Absolutely, but
it's a lot for the public to digest right now. It's a lot. I said before, we're ready for town seem to be right for a mayor, but only if there's a very strong professional public administration type town manager-ish person there too, which sounds like we're adding staff in some respects. You get the local person with the mayor. Who that might be.
We added staff to the
Who that might-
managers.
Yeah, who that might be,
you
I don't know.
So-
I personally would only, I would only put this in as non-binding to get a pulse of the, I would only do it that way. I would only vote for it that way personally.
I will
If it's-
entertain a motion to make it a non-binding question for the council.
I'd make a motion to add it as a non-binding question to the
Second.
council.
Is there a second?
yeah, I'll second it.
Is there any discussion on that? I just feel
Yeah,
strongly
my-
about letting
on
them
that-
make decisions.
Yeah, I can go with non-binding. I can't go with it as a hard change yet because I feel that I have
It's a-
too many, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I'd like to research it because it's easy to be a citizen who says, I just want change. I think this is a great idea. I want to see how, I want to have a plan that
Right.
if we're actually putting it forward. Here's the plan, here's how it's going to work. So if you prove it, this is what's gonna happen. Kind of like, let's try to answer as many possible questions. Right now, I just have questions without answers. So
This is- To me, this is a whole
this is
process, and this is the final question.
right.
It's another unfunded mandate to the council.
Because if it goes sideways, basically in 2 years, we're electing somebody, we're giving them a 6-figure salary, and that's pretty much.
Yeah. How do you?
Right, but-
That's if I'm saying if it goes, everything goes
Right,
wrong.
right. So
And it
non-binding or
passes.
not, in my opinion, is
Yeah.
if the people say, yes, I'd like to have that. You still have 2 years to figure something out
Let me-
and put a commission together, no different than we talked
So
about.
you're bound to.
But
What would be the question you would ask on the ballot, Scott? What would, it probably should be in here. What is the question? Do you want a mayor? It's as simple as that. Or is it a mayor as opposed to a town manager?
Would you like to see?
Or is it mayor?
mayor,
Well,
council, form of government, as opposed to manager council.
And then since it's non-binding, details TBD.
Then the public wants to know, what does that mean?
Well, it means that, to me, it means that you're electing the town manager instead of the town council appointing the town
So
manager.
people will then immediately think we're getting rid of the town manager, and we're having a mayor.
Right.
That's what they would think.
I would-
55% of towns, I guess, across the country, town manager, council. That's what's there. That's 55%, it's 50-50, really. I did tell you when we were talking about that, mayor made sense, town's big enough, I looked at other towns. But it's a lot, it's a big lift. And what is the impact? It needs like a little marketing campaign, to your point.
Right.
In advance. And we don't have the time to do that this year.
So the motion, I think I put forward would be a non-binding question about May.
Yep, there's motion and seconded.
Roll call vote.
We vote on it.
Bob Brennan.
Aye.
Scott Copley,
Aye.
Scott Guthrie,
Aye.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes,
Brad Mayer, yes, Ben Para,
Yes,
Ted Tracy.
Yes,
Motion passes all affirmative.
Okay. Okay, Article 8, financial provisions. That's Jim, this is the budget.
okay, this is the new budget decision process where we're kind of injecting a line item petition process. We are replacing the current budget referendum process with a budget referendum petition process. And it made some changes. And I'll walk through them. And a little bit of language change too. So I've kind of summarized that. I've given this to, I shared it with everybody, I think, as well. So light item level electors petition opportunity for voters. Instead of process for electors, I used opportunity for voters, which I thought made sense. We went back and forth on the number of signatures. Sarah had gotten some feedback. I think we discussed changing the number of qualified signatures from 20 to 10. After a lot of discussion, we felt pretty adamant to leave it at 20, that can be gotten. And they'll have a well-documented, discussed by the town council petition for a change that is just under their advisement. They can take it or leave it. Then I added language, this will replace the current budget referendum process with a budget referendum petition opportunity where electors can vote for the final town council budget or one verified alternate budget referendum petition proposal that would adjust the final budget. Again, just some language change there. It was pretty much the same thing. Importantly, on the actual budget referendum petition is we changed the signatures 500 to 300, change that percentage from 2% of qualified voters to 1.2%, which jives approximately with 300 signatures because we want to future-proof it. We left the minimum at 0.2%, which was roughly $250,000 for that budget referendum petition. And we made sure we made a very important fix, and it was really a good comment by the town council, that what you could, one of your alternate budget referendum petitions could be the level fund, the municipal and school operating budgets. We made sure that we had both in there. In other words, the comment came out, you could level fund from the previous year, But you could just steal from Peter to pay Paul. You could take municipal and add it to the school budget. In total, it would be level funded. We don't want to do that. Level funding means municipal stays the same, school stays the same from the previous year. So we changed the language there to separate those. And those are the changes that we made. Everything else stays the same. Well, we can make a motion to approve these changes, I think. Or though maybe I think we're
Is
trying
there
to
a
vote.
motion to approve Jim's language?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Bob Brennan,
Yes.
Scott Copley,
Yes.
Scott Guthrie.
Yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes,
Brad Mayor, yes. Ben Parrott,
Yes,
Ted Tracy,
Yes,
motion passes, all approved.
Okay,
Jim, can you, just send me the latest? The one that I printed out tonight still have the 10 on it. I know we talked about it.
yeah, I have one more changed. I think so. I'll just resend it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
okay, article.
7,
It says
12,
12, supposed to be 13, right? No, it should be articles, it should be article 3. Public safety and welfare.
No,
Should be.
that's Article 12.
that's 12.
Oh, okay. So this is the fire department issue. Mike couldn't make it tonight. He actually just got back in from Europe. I gave him a call and he said he would try to get on Zoom. But there was some questions about his wife's employment and so forth, so. Mike wanted to ask the question to the voters about creating a fire department. He took some language out that had dates on it. I know the town council had concerns with that. And I think we talked about non-binding. And we have a choice of either voting for a question non-binding to the voters or a question to the voters. Again, we can't send out a question and ask them to make a fire district. We can only send out a question to make a municipal fire department. You know, there is some talk about other options. I think we probably heard that before, that there are options, but I don't know what they are. Nobody knows what they are.
I believe we had also talked about changing the language from municipal to townwide, which would leave those options open
Okay,
as opposed to limiting
A
it. The town
municipal.
is just taking it over. I'm not saying,
But-
I think it should be municipal myself, but if I don't, at the same point that you're making, you don't know what those options are. Making it townwide, that will still allow those options. And we can see whichever works best.
Ben,
I think at this point, and I've been involved with the fire department for a long time, that it needs to be a municipal department. Districts had their time way back then when, but it's like every time we have an issue, it's with one. And they all get lumped into it. It's like the whole fire department's bad. And we've gone through this where we've consolidated 3 fire districts into one now. When it happened the first time, we thought that the first one that consolidated was a nice and strong one, but it didn't take too long before they were in trouble. And then we put another district that was in trouble in with it again, so I still think our best option, and the best option for the people, would be a municipal department. It would do away with a second tax that they get. I don't know the dollar amount, but it seems so to me that if they just made one tax rate, the whole town, the combined taxes for the fire districts now are somewhere between 10 and 11 million dollars. I'm not sure what it is. But if you tax them all the same and put it in the municipal department, they only get one tax bill a year. That makes a big difference to them. I mean, you know, somebody moving into town, they get a tax bill from the town. And then in December, they get one from the fire district. What's
That's
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this?
I don't need this. So you increase the town tax by $2 and do away with the fire tax, which comes out to almost exactly the same. And people aren't so, discouraged by that. I just think it needs to be more controllable as a municipal department. That's all. And the whole town gets covered exactly the same. It's not like Western Coventry only has volunteers after midnight and Anthony has 24-hour coverage if everybody shows up, and it's just a big mess.
Yeah, I mean, the purse gets centralized,
Yeah,
the money gets centralized. I mean, the track record's horrific. Everything I've learned, we had so many people in the public talk to us about it
we
in
have,
favor of this.
we have enough equipment in the town. The town people owns the equipment now. They own the fire station. It's just in a different pocket, that's all.
And all these tacit agreements between districts and towns.
Yeah,
And the things that I've learned a lot, just listening here of the efficiencies we can gain. And I guarantee you, there's probably like 1,000 people who voted in my district where we did not approve the budget that probably right away would be in favor of this because it's not been a good thing.
yeah.
It makes sense. It's a good idea.
I just think we need to send a question to the people. I mean, we've seen the responses back from them. It's overwhelmingly, they want a municipal department. So,
Again, our SNAP poll that we did, I know it's not a perfect statistically significant survey of 300 people. Let's say there's 150 to 200 something people that
It's still-
adamantly were in favor of a fire department. So it's still a nice SNAP poll to have.
Okay, with the fact that they did put an RFP out. Okay. That there is potential for other solutions that we haven't seen or they haven't seen on it. If one of those solutions was a single fire district covering the entire town, would that be acceptable in place of a municipal?
We can't ask that question.
Well, I'm just saying I'm talking about the wording of the question itself, whether we
Right.
specify a particular type or whether we try to leave options
Townwide
open.
municipal department,
Townwide or
fire
municipal.
so
And-
like I said,
and
we can't ask the people anything other than something that's gonna be administered.
For
by
the town,
by the
yeah.
town. So, everything is still kind of fluid with this. They're supposed to run out of money on Thursday. So, what the town has voted to go for an RFP to figure out what to do, but and we talked about before the Article 260 there, where it tells them what they have to do. Caused a lot of commotion, but I think that they're starting to understand now that that is something that they have to, grapple with. I don't know what's gonna happen when they run out of money, whether they go to court again and just sue the taxpayers to pay, their debt. I just don't know, and then close it down. But the town cannot go in and rescue one fire district. That's why it was written that way. I'm against another district for the simple reason that this could happen again. Where you could have someone that can go in.
I'm not saying I'm for that. I'm saying it's an unknown as a
Right.
possibility.
Right.
Okay, for the record, I don't understand why it's not, 40 some odd years I've been in this town. I still don't understand why I have to get a fire tax. It should be municipal. It's a town function.
Right.
However, we're putting a question out in an environment where things have a lot of unknowns. So do we want to tie that question in? Now, the other side of that is, do we make this non-binding? So therefore, the municipal department can go out there. The town council does not have to follow that based on what they get back from their RFPs. So I'm talking about a matter of wording, not a matter of principle on this. What gives the most flexibility and the most information from a question that gets put to the voters?
So Michael's language has a commission to be put together too. So it's not like this is gonna happen on a given day, because he took the date out. I guess the town council had a
I think
Had
he pushed
issue
it
with
back
that.
2 years too. It's like
Right, he pushed it back
24.
and then he took the date right out, so it's. So now what he did is he added some language in there to at least get some discussion going. And just, in my opinion, it's probably discussion that's a year late. But. Our job is to say, do you want to have one town municipal fire department? I get what you're saying, town-wide,
Mhm.
but we're restricted into what we can ask the voters. We can't ask them if they want a fire district. In my opinion, I think that, and right now, I mean, you may have heard me say it before, but the General Assembly is closed for business until January.
Mhm.
And the other thing that's gonna happen is, if it comes up on, Central Coventry Fire District, another merger thing, there's gonna be a lot of cold shoulders to that. And I think that the leadership of the General Assembly was hopeful that the town would have stepped in a little earlier than they did. So,
Again, I'm glad you brought this up, because I'm in favor of using the term municipal, because to me, there's not a separate board of directors. It's integrated with the town and the schools and the public works department. It's just tighter communications, in my opinion. Our elected body manages it, our town management manages it. That's where we want it. I think that's where we want to keep it. And, I've heard so much from, experts and all these tacit agreements and boards and separate taxing authorities and separate administrators that has caused nothing but confusion and dysfunction. It wants to be tightly integrated. And my opinion is to use the term municipal.
I
That's a
like,
good point, though.
I like I'd be more in favor of the language that's been rewritten that has dates completely removed. That way,
They can
the
fit it.
town is obligated to create it, but not pressured in by a certain
That's a
date.
great point.
Because if we make it non-binding, technically they could just sit on their hands and do nothing until it gets worse. But like, if we put it forward without dates, if it starts getting further down the line, they're gonna have taxpayers saying, why hasn't this been done yet?
I agree with that too. And again, it could be one of those things that you could frame it as, if you want to make it non-binding and get the pulse of the public, don't miss this opportunity and just not do it at all. But move it forward as binding, but without the dates makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Also,
I like that idea.
if a fire district fails, Central Coventry fails, that basically, not right away, but basically shuts down Center New England Boulevard. Because without a fire department, and I know the town council always says mutual aid, well, mutual aid means,
Both ways.
It's gotta be.
that's
Works
right, if
both
there's
ways.
none that goes this way, then there's none coming
It's
that
not
way.
if Central Coventry fails that the other three districts just basically take their maps and go, okay, you're gonna take these streets, you're gonna be in Western, you're gonna be in
Yeah,
Anthony, you're
no.
gonna be in, what I forget, Hopkins Hill.
That's
Okay, it
not-
doesn't work that way.
At somebody else's expense. But that's not
So,
gonna last for a long
And
time.
all these businesses will lose their fire insurance. No one will give them
Yeah.
insurance if they have no fire
I
department.
think John Pascal brought up that you won't be able to put students in schools. You can have nobody in nursing homes. I mean, all these
Every
public
business,
buildings,
yeah,
it's.
BJ's,
it's
Home
a-
Depot.
It's a whole lot bigger than people understand, so. Like I said, I think that the last language that
That's what I'm.
he put in had something to do about a committee.
So in section 12.02 of Mike's, within the original report, says there shall be a commission formed no later than January 31st, 2023, which shall oversee the transition of current fire districts within the town of Coventry to a single municipal fire department. Now, there's also a section 1238 that says no later than July 1st, 2024, there shall be a municipal, and you guys want to change it to townwide fire department. That language is coming out.
I thought he said he was gonna take the dates out.
The dates.
I'll check.
Municipal means
Municipal
townwide
is
though.
okay. Municipal is okay.
But town
Just
doesn't
municipal.
necessarily mean
That's
Right,
correct.
Right.
I'll check with him on the dates on that and get the final version.
Right, I just want to have to ask this, I'm in favor, I agree, it should get rid of the fire districts, just make one department. Have it be run out of this office and that whatnot, that should, I'm with you 100%, here's the one concern I have. Can we compel the fire districts to cease operations? Or let me phrase it, can the town,
if one fails.
it's, okay, that's one.
If one fails, it's
Because
automatic.
here's the only thing that I fear is that we're making a municipal fire district and one of the districts says, no, we want to keep going on our own. And now you have a municipal department and District X that's sending out tax bills.
Well,
But
Because right now, because that's the
under
only,
two
again,
sixty, if you read 260, it explains that. So what's happening is someone's vision from the 40s came true. So one fire district failed. So when one fire district fails, the entire populace of the town cannot rescue that district. So they take the taxing authority away from all the other fire
Okay.
districts. So let me
So-
finish. So now, those fire districts are absorbed, all of their assets, all of their liabilities, everything is now property of the town. Where you live in Hopkins Hill, that was the first district that said that they would consolidate. Okay, they didn't say municipal, they didn't say another district, but they
whatever
encouraged,
would ever cover.
right, they encouraged the other districts to do it because what we have now. That used to work is no longer working. And it's not anybody's fault, but wise. And someone that changed, changed the narrative on what happened with Central Coventry. You said it at one of our meetings that's right, that, somebody set the wrong tax value on a building and blah, 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 blah.
That's what happened the first time. That's when, and everyone thought it was theft, and it wasn't. It was a clerical error. They added a zero. And it took them 3 years, I think, to figure it out, and then they realized, well, we're budgeting all this money and we're spending it, and then we realized we're not getting it. Okay, it was a
So-
clerical, it happened. They
So-
got out of it, but my only concern is that we adopt something and then, like, I have a vision of how it
We're not
works. where
adopting
it
anything,
takes-
we're asking the people what they want to do, there's
Right.
the difference. So-
But here's the thing, I think of the voters, they may read the question as fire districts go away and the town runs everything. And I'm just concerned that you may run into a situation, I'm okay with passing the question, but I'm just thinking as a voter. I have a vision of if this is approved, how it works, that may not necessarily be accurate, and I just want to be cautious because voters may think. By approving this, if it's a firm question that the fire districts go away and everything goes to the town, and it's not necessarily automatic, clear cut, instead of paying a fire district, basically take the two, put them together kind of thing.
There is an argument that could be made that they still retain.
Lights or
lights
something.
and
Lights and hydrants. But not fire, but,
Okay.
so,
So they would still be able.
So I get a
to
tax
bill
bill for
people.
$5,
Hydrants are expensive.
but if, you know,
$50.
if,
I'm just thinking about,
if by some. Great miracle, maybe the state steps in, allows them to go into fiscal stability, carry them to September. And they can function. I'd like to see that happen, but I'm not sure it's going to. This is a question for the voters to say, do you want to stay with the old system, or do you want a new system? And I think.
that is a question I'm totally in favor of. That's
And I think
absolutely.
that, with this vote, and, if we do get to that point and we're lucky enough to continue to have service without the town having to have to step in, on January 31st, there's gonna be a bunch of people that are gonna be able to get together and say, how's the best way to do this? If it gets that far. So I'm just the pessimist on this, saying that the law's the law. Suck it up. I really don't know what other words to say. I was in the General Assembly when this whole thing was going down, and I had opposite feelings as another representative of Coventry that was trying to kill, fire protection and rescue protection in this town. Made it very, very, very difficult for me. And all through the whole thing, I worked with the courts. and I worked with the leadership, and I worked with the governor. Try to make sure that people in that district were gonna be safe. Not only that district, the town, because right now they actually run as a municipality. So, you know, it is, if there's nobody in Central, Hopkins Hill doesn't get the help, Weston Coventry doesn't, Anthony doesn't. So they depend on each other. And, you know, if you sat down and talked with them, they'd say, oh, well, I kind of like the old system, but I think it's time we change because something has to be written down that it has to be a guarantee, a solid guarantee that there's going to be someone there. You could say, well, West Warwick will come here and they'll make up for the difference, but for how long? They're gonna say, well, we'll keep doing it. It's gonna have to pay us to
Yeah.
do
Here's the bill.
it.
Mhm.
So,
Do you know how many times Coventry goes to West Warwick now? Do you think they're gonna come to us?
so I guess my question would be, is there a motion to pass Mike's language
Without the dates?
without the dates, okay? As a question for a municipal fire department, I'd entertain that.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion, because I don't know where Bob is on this, so
Okay, just a clarification, are we discussing this going forward as a non-binding or as an actual ballot question?
Ballot question, but with no date for creation.
ballot question. Okay, so it would still, and I will present to the council that you still have the opportunity to make this non-binding and use it as a poll. Because it's so fluid right now that we don't know what's gonna happen. They could get something thrust on their lap in a week. I don't know. I just know that reality is kind of like out there. If the town wants to use it as a polling question, fine. Any further discussion on binding or non-binding? If not, roll call vote.
Bob Brennan,
Okay, with the idea that there'll be a presentation to the town saying that it's totally up to them to switch it. I'll vote yes.
Scott Copley,
Yes.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes,
Brad Mayor, yes, Ben Para.
Yes,
Ted Tracy.
Using the same language that Bob just said, yes.
Motion passes all yeas.
Yes, with that condition.
The creation of the commission is still staying.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Next would be 1520, which is Bob.
Okay, so 1520. The only change on this was to remove to remove language saying that all the questions should be going to the ballot.
That was the one that allowed charter commission
Correct.
questions to go to the ballot. And that was, were you influenced by the town council about that? Or-
No, I was more influenced by the fact that the discussions were not, the two questions that came up that the town council took exception to. With the fire and the mayor, and with the mayor, I was not convinced that that was a question ready to go at that point in time. I think there were more things that needed to happen. I view that question as the last in a series of things as opposed to the beginning. If it had gone directly, I can see that would have caused a bit of chaos potentially down the road, in which you have to do something that you don't really know how to do. So I think it needs to be explored and looked at. That's not a new position. Back in February or March, when you first brought the topic up, I had reservations about even attempting to go into that. That's a total change in how we govern ourselves. And I just thought that was far too big for a 6-month committee to deal with when we're dealing with other things. It will say that town council's response did reinforce it, but it did not influence it.
So. So 1520 is going to be, did you still strike the language on the limitations on who could be
No.
on the commission?
No. That language stays.
Yeah, the qualifications staying, right?
The original proposal.
The original proposal, the only thing that changes is whether the language for putting questions from the Charter Review Commission directly onto the ballot.
So I remember you had it as 1520 A and B, right?
This is all part of 1520A.
Okay,
1520B was a special charter commission.
okay, are you gonna move forward with that?
I want to move forward with
Okay,
that
all
as
right, so
well.
we're on 1520, so we're on A and B, right?
Two separate questions.
Okay.
So I think we should vote on them separately.
Just so I'm clear, the sentence that, or the sentences that you have in blue in the middle of the page on each recommendation, and it strikes upon approval of a majority vote of the town council, that's all gonna go back to black, because that's gonna stay as it's written.
The only thing that I took out was a section that directed questions from the Charter Review Commission directly to the ballot. Okay. Language that was taken out is no member of the Charter Review Committee shall serve concurrent appointments with no more than 2 appointments. Added language, there shall be no limit to the number of times an individual may serve on the committee, provided that no more than 2 terms are served consecutively. And the other part of that is that no member of the said committee shall be an elected or appointed official of the town. What was stricken was or an employee of the town or of any department, office, agency of the town, nor hold a managerial position in any department, office, or agency of the town. And added language to that, this was based on feedback from the town council, and it did answer a question that was bugging me on it, is the addition of no more than 2 seats on the committee may be occupied by town of Coventry employees.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'll need, and I apologize if you sent it to me.
I
So
believe I did it, and then I will again.
that'd be great.
So that is the first one, that's 1520A.
So basically, it's the same version as before, just retaining the original, they had to approve everything.
They have to approve everything, and adding the language saying that no more than 2 town
Okay.
employees.
Yeah, okay.
So are the other limitations still in there, or was that stricken?
The other limitations,
I think it was an elected official, and
yeah, that's all, that's still in there.
we're gonna leave that?
There's, yeah, the,
Yeah.
yep. The,
Still good.
what is it, no members, no members, like me, appointed official of the town,
I didn't get to see that. Can I see that, Bob?
Yeah.
See it.
that's pretty much unchanged from the presentation, with the exception of those two things. So the language saying that you can't hold an elected office in the town, but you can hold an elected office is still intact. And you can be a town employee, but not in a managerial position. So the person who was on the land trust, who took a part-time job at the library, would still be on the land trust.
Makes sense.
I'm not-
No, Ray, don't,
Where's
paper clips? These two. The two things that are being changed. Should we break that into 2 separate questions for the council, or do you think it's good enough to, because they both deal with membership of charter committee, is it sufficient enough to keep both of those? And because I know they were concerned about having multiple variables in the same question.
This shouldn't really have a lot of variables to it.
Okay,
This is pretty much one question. Who could be on the charter commission, striking some language and adding others, so it's not like employees could be on.
Right, I just didn't know if like the membership qualification, should we separate it into a different question than the limits on who can, like the amount of times you can serve on.
I think it's all pretty much one of the,
Okay.
one of the same
Okay.
on it.
They could do that if they wanted to,
Yeah.
Okay,
and that may be an issue of balance efficiency as well.
okay.
So.
Well,
wanna do a-
and a motion for Bob, for the passage of Bob's language. On 1520, because you're gonna have another one, right?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
There's a second,
I'll second.
roll call vote.
Bob Brennan,
Aye.
Scott Copley,
Yes.
Bob Guthrie,
Yes,
Jim Humphrey,
Yes.
Brad Mayer, yes, Ben Para.
Yes,
Ted Tracy.
Yes.
Motion passes all affirmative.
okay, so now we have 1520B.
1520B is the proposal for, sorry. A special charter review commission, for the town charter update. This language is largely unchanged. The only thing that I did with this is I added under recommendations, some clarifying language saying, okay, we had down here is the SCRC should receive an independent resource person available as a source of expertise and experience. And then I just put in a, for example, when reviewing school-related issues, a member of the school committee should be available. There seemed to be concern that it was going to be adding a whole board of experts for the entire period of time. And that was not the intent, so the intent was for us to be able to draw upon expertise when needed, or the commission to be drawn upon expertise when necessary. That is not language in this specifically, it's a recommendation to the town council. Okay. So this is all new language, and the only change from when we did the presentation is, and this is feedback that we got from the town council, energized with what I was saying in the original proposal on this, and that's the final report no longer than 18 months, it's changed to less than 2 years. So we're just adding 6 months to the final reporting time.
So this is the one that's for the comprehensive
yeah,
Correct.
charter review. I'll entertain a motion for passage.
I'll make a motion that we pass this.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Bob Brennan,
Aye.
Scott Copley.
Aye.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes,
Jim Humphrey,
Yes.
Brad Mayer, yes, Ben Para.
Yes,
Ted Tracy.
Yes.
Motion passes all affirmative.
okay. We take like about 5 minutes.
Sure.
Be right back.
You still be plugged in before.
As well.
And
We're muted.
Okay. Thank you for the break. Now we move on to section 1522, which is kind of like a new article type thing. Where we would like to send biannual communications to the public about the beginning of the budget process and maybe whatever news may be happening in the fall. And also another mailing in the spring for the closing and notification of how we get the budget done in the spring. And Who was the top,
Yeah.
who was top on this?
Yeah, I
Jim, right?
wrote a paragraph for this and made a couple of changes based on some feedback that we got. So basically, it was about biannual public communications, great opportunity for the council to get the word out about what's going on in government, and activities and events and anything they wanted, and things that could possibly tie into the budget referendum, hopefully the new budget referendum process as well. It was an interesting note, they were doing a mailing for the next budget referendum.
Yes.
See how that goes.
Yes.
Forward to seeing that in the mail. I want to make sure we share that example too. I still have that. Pass that along that Brad gave you
Situate?
from
Yeah.
Situate. That was an excellent one. But anyhow, the quick fixes were shall notify instead of shall notify by mail. I know Councilor Shockley brought that up. Future proof it. It just got to. We just say you must notify everybody. They can figure that out, and maybe in the future it'll be all digital. Who knows? And these communications should be done, not sent, at the end of the fiscal year for that end of the year communication. Those are the only two fixes that I made. Kind of future proofed it, left it up to them to use what media they want to use, as long as everybody gets it. However they get it.
Did we make it a shall or a may? My argument.
Shall.
Yeah, my argument was to make sure regardless of who the council is, 35 years down the road.
Shall.
They have to do
They
it.
have to do it.
Yeah, I want to read it real quick. If anybody's any feedback. The town, it's important, it's a small thing, but it's a big thing, actually. Town manager in coordination with town council shall post on the official town of Coventry's government website, not some of those fake ones, and shall notify to each Coventry eligible voter a biannual communication to enhance public engagement and knowledge sharing of town government. These communications should be done at the end of each fiscal year to coincide with the end stages of the budget decision process, and in the second quarter of the fiscal year to coordinate with the beginning of the budget decision process. The content is at the discretion of the town manager and town council, and these communications can be used to include legal notices.
Very well written.
Good. Is it? Okay. Okay, I think that covers it. I mean, it's a great opportunity for them
I
to do.
entertain a motion
do
to
that.
move passage.
I'll make the-
Motion made by Bob. Seconded by Ted and Brad. Roll call vote.
Bob Brennan,
Aye.
Scott Copley,
Yes.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes.
Brad Mayor, yes, Ben Tara.
Yes.
Ted Tracy,
Yes.
motion passes, all approved. All present members.
Oh, one. I think 501 was where I wrote mayor into the town manager's position, and we did decide to not move forward with that.
Well, we put in well, Article 1, we put in a provision in the original report. First pages. Section 1.02 formal government language, as well as many other charter sections, will be impacted by proposals set forth in proposed Article 5 revisions. So it recognizes that Article 1 will change
Right.
if, in fact, Article 5 becomes a reality. I know it's going toward.
So Article 5, we voted to make it non-binding, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so this would just tie into that. It's just a little bit of language that I wrote that kind of moves the mayor position under where the town manager is. So I don't think it's anything that we have to vote on.
No, because you voted on 5.01 as a non-binding anyway.
Correct, yeah.
Or Article 5, which includes 5.01, non-binding.
So next we go to Article 12, which would be the town solicitor. No, excuse me, Article 7, town solicitor. So we had discussions early on, and Ben was here, and we were talked about we should we should appoint the town solicitor, and after a conversation with the council person. That council person thought it would be a good idea to have. The town council. Select who their. Solicitor is gonna be. So the language is drawn up and it's. All it does is it transfers that power from the manager to the. Council. It also requires. The solicitor to be. At all of the council meetings, and if not, the solicitor can send someone in his or her place. And then there was the other part in there about,
Wasn't it gonna be up to the town council if it's gonna be in-house or external?
right. So,
There's language in there that says, the town solicitor shall be an employee of the town of Coventry and shall devote their entire time and attention to the duties of town solicitor. During the time of appointment, the town solicitor shall not engage in the practice of law for any other person or entity without the approval of the town council.
so what it does is it covers both things. I think that council person may have wanted to make that decision on their own. So. We probably can approve it as written. Which makes it council's appointment. It specifies that. The solicitor has to be at the meetings, and if he or she is not. They can appoint or name someone in their place. And making the position a town employee is entirely up to the council.
So that language is not.
So that
the
language
question.
won't be in it that Ray just read. The employee of the town.
Yeah, because I think we wanted to keep it flexible.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my
That was
question.
The
been
town
advised
council
too.
can decide themselves.
If they want to
it's
hire
town
somebody,
or-
great. If they want to keep
here
contracting
it
out,
is.
that should be up to
Right.
them.
The town solicitor shall be an employee of the town of Coventry and shall devote their entire time and attention to the duties of town solicitor. During the time of appointment, the town solicitor shall not engage in the practice of law. Otherwise,
Yeah, I
so
got an issue with that.
you do,
Because I don't want to mandate that.
Okay.
I'm okay with letting the town council side be the hiring and firing body of the town solicitor and all those changes, but whether we want an in-house. Or an external one, I think that should be decided with the council. It shouldn't be a requirement.
well, like I said, I wrote it both ways.
Okay.
So, there was interest in having,
I'm interested in the
Solicitor
position.
mandated?
I'm interested in the thought process of the position. I'm just not interested in putting it in the charter as this is the way it will be done.
It's a may instead of a shall. I think. I think that might cover it.
so.
Maybe an employee.
Do you want to change it to May? Because I think that this might be something that the council wants to address on their own. They will have the power to do what they want with the solicitor.
Right.
Because they
Yeah,
will
but
be
if
the
we put,
appointing
but if we put
authority.
that in there, then they have to hire him as him or her as a municipal.
Unless we change shall to may.
I mean, I'm okay with it. I don't know. I just look at it as may, I feel it's not unnecessary to be.
Would it
Like
change
if it says may or it says nothing, I think it's the same.
Okay, so would you like me to strike that?
I'd prefer it be stricken. If it ends up with a may, I'm not probably gonna totally against it, but I don't see the point of
If
it.
it's
But
changed
also,
to
don't they-
shall, it should be a separate question.
Right.
But the whole thing started as we wanted to push the ability to select the solicitor to the town. council.
Correct. That-
That's how
that-
it all started.
yeah, that's-
That's one question.
So,
So,
we can leave that second
Unbundle-
part up to
unbundle.
the council, and like I said, I added it in there because there was interest in it. So if you want to strike that, we can take a motion to just transfer the approval or the appointment of the town solicitor from the manager to the town council. And we'll strike that other part about making that person an employee and leave that up to them because they'll have that authority.
Yeah.
Is there a motion?
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
Roll call. vote.
We have to discuss, little discussion. before we
Oops,
vote.
I'm sorry.
Just one thing that, is that language still in there that they must be at every town council meeting?
Well,
or a designee.
That's
Well,
all.
Yeah,
the only reason I bring it up. And I'm thinking of the solicitor we had, where he used to live too, is if they're contracted, they're hourly, they're 150 an hour, 150 an hour, 150 an hour. There may be a meeting they don't need to be at, and you're not getting billed for those hours. I mean, you could save money that way if they don't have to be at every meeting.
that's the rub with the person being an employee, because they can devote the whole,
Mhm.
their whole entire body and soul to this, so that,
Then we would want them there.
well, true, because.
Because
I
they're
think-
salaried.
But we already
Right.
pay him for that. so-
Right, well, we're gonna pay them anyways, and I think
Yeah.
that, if you, instead of, if we changed may, shall to may. Be an employee of the town, it would compel someone to want to be there and do the work that has to be done. Instead of just showing up when they feel it's something important on the solicitor's part. Instead of the town council's part, so one of the council persons wanted it to be in there that said. We want that solicitor to be at every meeting.
Okay, I don't remember that. Okay, so that was one of the matrix.
That's what was brought to my attention, and that's why
That's
I
important.
added that language about.
being
an
there
employee.
or, well. that
So,
too.
so what it would do is it kind of forces a solicitor's hand to say, gee, I guess I'm gonna have to do my job. And. There has to be someone there anyways.
So it ties into your
If it's a
thing,
town employee.
be engaged at the town.
Right.
Got it. I agree. Got it.
Does that change anyone's mind or sway any differences or?
No,
I'm still where I was.
that clarified the.
I understand it,
Town
but,
meeting
yeah.
issue.
And I'm okay
I'm
with
with you on the
totally, yeah.
flexibility,
Yeah.
but now I understand why they
Yeah.
should be there. Be engaged in the town, or maybe that needs to be somebody else, I mean, that's the goal, be there, be
So
part of
what
it.
we're gonna do is we're gonna mandate.
They have to be at.
We're gonna
someone has
mandate
to.
someone that's gonna bill by the hour. Instead of mandating someone that's gonna be a town employee devoted to the town. That's the whole rub on the whole thing.
I think we're saying whoever
I
it
don't think
is.
it's
you
gonna be
guys at
one or the
meeting.
other, but we're not saying. We're just saying they need to be there.
We're giving the council the
So
flexibility.
we're gonna
employee or
we're
contractor.
gonna have the council make that decision.
Yes.
So the council can make an employee as a cost saving measure.
As a man
Yeah,
and shall.
and mandate it.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Okay.
What's your motion?
The first paragraph.
Okay. So. The town solicitor. Shall be appointed by the town council and serve at the pleasure of the town council. The town solicitor may in like manner and. Subject to the approval of town council, appoint one or more assistant town solicitors. So what it does is it just gives the council the authority
Yes.
to do what they need to do
Correct.
if they choose.
And if they want to make it employee, that's great. If they want to keep it hourly, that's great.
However,
They have to be there at a meeting. Someone has to be there. Under
However-
either scenario, that's.
the question about. The counselor that wanted the. Solicitor to attend all council meetings, we should leave that up to them too, and not include that in the language is.
I'm
No,
okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with
Okay,
that. in the
all
language, yeah.
No, I agree.
So we'll strike
That was
that
well
and,
explained.
and then the
Yeah.
council has full control over the solicitor instead of the manager.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Is
So
there,
just so I'm clear, the motion is to strike.
The requirement for an
be a town
employee.
employee, and also to strike. That the solicitor has to be at town council.
No,
I mean,
we're
no,
keeping that.
no,
we're
Keep
keeping
that in, keep that part in.
Shall.
the solicitor.
Those
has to be-
shall be at all meetings, and if they cannot, they will appoint someone to be there.
All right.
That we can keep in.
So it's. So it's just strike that.
Yep.
Is that a motion? Is
Yes.
there a second?
There was a second already.
Okay, any more discussion? Roll call vote,
Bob Brennan,
I,
Scott Copley,
Aye.
Scott Guthrie,
yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes.
Brad Mayor, yes, Ben Pepper,
Yes.
Ted Tracy.
Yes.
Motion passes all approved.
It'll give me more time to think about it.
Oh, no.
You just wait till we get to that motion to adjourn. I may really ponder this one.
No. Discussion.
That's not a roll call.
No.
Okay.
Here we are, July 11th.
So next we move on to 407D, which was a request from a council person. This has to deal with the school building committee process and who's on it. And that council had thought it would be a good idea to have the town finance director and the school department finance director as ex officio members, along with well, presently, it's the superintendent of schools and the solicitor. And that council had thought it would be a good idea to have the finance director and the school finance director there. Or,
So we don't go 6 months before we find out if we can do something?
So you're gonna have financial experts at a major construction.
Yeah.
discussion.
bingo,
That sounds like a pretty good idea.
bingo.
I'm okay with that idea. You have it written?
I'll
Is that as it is?
all it does is it adds
Those
you know,
people as ex.
the town
officio?
finance director and the school finance director as ex officio. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Motion is made in second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Scott.
Roll call vote.
Bob Brennan,
I,
Scott Copley.
Aye.
Scott Guthrie,
Yes.
Jim Humphrey,
Yes,
Brad Mayor, yes, Ben Barrett.
Yes,
Ted Tracy.
Yes,
Motion passes, all present members approved.
The last article is 1302 qualifications, discussion action. Believe it or not, I did not print that, but I'll explain what it was. It has to do with the town planner. And it has to do with qualifications. They were very, very vague. Can you pull that up?
1302, the Director of Planning and Development should possess knowledge of planning, zoning, subdivision regulations, and other allied programs and projects. That's it.
All right, so like I actually, I did print it. It's probably sitting right on top of my printer. It added a bachelor's degree in I'm trying to think of the wording on it.
Civil engineering.
Well, it's not so much, it's a, you know, you have to have a degree to do it. And the person that asked me to do this was for the same reason, saying that she didn't think it would, excuse me, that person didn't think it would be a good idea to just allow a council to appoint a friend to a position of such importance. And it was planning, and it's not a huge change, it just changes,
just
adds
puts a
this-
few requirements.
Yes, it
Okay.
just adds a couple of
It's not
requirements.
something that makes it super restrictive.
No,
like when
not
we used to have
restrictive at all.
very. I just remember when we had those ridiculous town manager. I know that's a higher,
Yeah,
but you know,
yeah.
we set the bar too high. I
Right,
think, you know.
right. Well, they changed it a couple of times,
Now,
like
yeah.
over the last 5 years.
Yeah, now they brought it back down because they realized they
Right,
couldn't get anybody, but
so.
okay.
I'll entertain a motion for the passage of the amendment to section 1302 of the charter.
That's to
That is to,
add a qualification of
that's to
a college
define,
degree.
it's to define the qualifications for the town planner.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote. Running out of paper, Brad?
Bob Brennan,
can we just go over what the qualifications are again?
I printed them and I don't have them in front of me. You're gonna force me. If you look at what we have, it's kind of like,
It's nothing.
it's nothing.
He's
So,
nothing.
so what's gonna be there is not gonna be nothing. It's probably gonna be substantive, and it's probably gonna, draw the best. The best candidate, and I think the reason being that is that the qualifications were so loose that. A council could just turn around and appoint someone that's a best friend. That's how it was, explained to
Yeah,
me.
my
Right.
brother-in-law could do that. Yeah.
Possess knowledge of planning, that's very
yeah.
vague, and
Yes, it is.
but before I would vote on this, I would really want to know what those qualifications are. Case in point, are they too restrictive?
Right.
Are they not restrictive enough? I don't want to vote on something that I don't know what the content is.
Yeah, so my fault.
Yeah, I have to agree
Yeah.
with you, because
I,
All right, so-
I mean, the way you describe it, I'm in favor of it. I think it's
I
fine.
think it's a good
I have
idea.
no problem,
So-
but at the same time, having not seen it,
So why don't I do this? Why don't I leave it up to the council to do that, and I will present it to them. With the language
I'm-
that.
Perfect.
Does
I'm
that
okay
work?
with that.
So we don't have to vote on something that,
That we are not seeing.
right, okay.
Do you-
Fire.
Ted, do you want?
I would try, yes. I do.
All right then. And I will try to get you that language too, so. That's.
I'm
that's
sure
my
it's fine.
fault.
Yeah,
trust you, but-
I like I said, I'm
Yeah.
with
Right.
that and, but I'm just. I
I
feel,
actually-
I feel
I
voting for
actually
something
took-
I don't see is like playing Russian roulette. You got
You
a 5 out of
know
10
what?
chance of being okay, but.
I actually took the language from the town of West Warwick. And then it was generic language, and it was just something that was not overburdening, but it was
Yeah,
something that,
Sounds
that
good.
made sure that the candidate that you have,
Yeah,
meets.
there should be
Absolutely.
something
There should
there
be
that-
something
that
there.
refers to the credentialing of the
I,
candidate.
I apologize for leaving that one on my printer. So. I did public comment, ready for public comment,
no new business, I guess.
That was.
new
New business.
yeah, that was.
That was
It was, it said old, it was under old business.
The last three,
No,
four were
Last
new
four were new
business.
business.
Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't see the new business thing. I know Ray was like, let's not make sure we have a motion for new business again.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, that's fine.
All right, so on the public comment, I'll tell you this, so. With the manager setting in our agenda for us a couple of times, not the manager, the town council president. So she had said, I think, when we were in the town council that night that we. Had that oddly scheduled meeting. On the 18th, we're gonna dissolve, but we actually dissolved on the 14th. So, Ray and I were talking, what do we do with the minutes of tonight? I don't know. The commission. Is no longer here on the 14th. But it does not preclude you from showing up. On the, it's gonna be 18th.
18th, Monday.
So we could all show up there and not be in any violation of any open meeting laws. So if we wanna voice opposition, for or against something, you'll have that opportunity to do so without us violating any laws. So I'm not gonna worry about, the 18th that she thinks it ends on Thursday. So the only thing that Ray and I have to do is we're to mail the minutes to from tonight. Because it's over. So. Thank you all for your help. I had a good time doing it. I hope you did too.
I don't know if I'll have the minutes ready for Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
I could try.
You gotta see.
No, what I definitely do, I'll create a spreadsheet. So when they ask you, how did you vote on,
Okay,
I'll have a spreadsheet of each thing we
Right.
talked about tonight. So you could say so many members voted.
she had asked for that. So that was what I had under public comment. Does anybody else have anything to say, Jim?
Probably tied into the meeting, so probably not a public comment. But it was something I wanted to forward to town council. And, leave it up to you to determine that. It's just some detail that we put together on the budget provisions.
Okay, would it be more appropriate for you to give it to bring it up to their attention on?
It should
on
be,
next
should be
month?
bend to them type of thing.
All
I
right.
think.
Do you want to have them have that, or
I've got
Monday
it,
meeting?
I've got it all teed up just to forward to them.
what I would do is I would send it to Ben first? just
Yeah,
to
that's
make sure.
what I mean. I was waiting for you to give me
Yeah.
the,
Go for it.
It's consistent.
I shared it with you guys.
Yeah.
Subcommittee, so
It's
we did a lot of work. I was just happy to give it to them.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's no further discussion, and then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I think I'm gonna say this right. I motion to adjourn sign die. This is it for us, right? Did I get that right?
Sure.
Okay,
What is it called?
I might be saying it wrong. Sign die, it's the end of the term, so it's
Okay.
we're dissolving after.
Yeah, what he said.
Okay, so the motion is made and seconded, and thank you all for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
That was fun. Thanks.
Everybody.